Hi, my name's Joe from MakeUseOf.com, and today I'll be showing you how to make your own camera slider. Camera sliders are great tools for adding movement to your videos, but the problem is cheap ones aren't any good and the good ones aren't cheap. You can make this camera slider using only a few parts which all cost less than $35. This is a simple project, but it does require a few components you may not own already. You'll need one set of 3D printed parts, which we'll come to in a minute, two lengths of 20mm by 20mm by 500mm long V-slot aluminium extrusion, 4 dual V wheels with bearings, 12 M5 drop-in T-nuts, 1 1/4 10mm bolt, 4 M5 washers, 4 M5 nylock nuts, 4 M5 30mm countersunk bolts, 12 M5 10mm countersunk bolts, assorted rubber bands, and a tripod and tripod head. For the 3D printed parts, you can download the components off Thingiverse, and again the link is in the description below. If you don't own a 3D printer, 3D Hubs and Shapeways both provide online printing services. It is possible to make this slider without a 3D printer, out of wood, metal or plastic, but I highly recommend you print the parts. Of the 3D printed parts, you'll need 3 frame supports, one of which doubles as a tripod mount, a carriage and a bearing riser. Make sure you print the parts upright and not laying flat on the bed. They need to be printed upright for the strongest strength. If you print them flat, they will break when you're assembling it. Let's start with the carriage. This is the part your camera sits on which moves. Identify the top and bottom. The top of the carriage has countersunk holes for the bolts to sit into. Insert the 4 M5 by 30mm countersunk Allen head bolts. These should be flush inside these holes. Flip the carriage over, being careful the bolts don't fall up, so the bottom is facing up. Install the bearing riser. There's only one way this will fit. Now add an M5 washer to each bolt. Add a wheel assembly to each bolt. Each wheel assembly should come assembled with 2 bearings inside. Add an M5 nylock nut to each bolt and tighten them up. Don't over tighten. The nylocks will not work loose, as this is what they're designed for. Tighten them just enough to stop the wheels from wobbling, but not so tight that the wheels won't spin. Spin each wheel with your finger to ensure you haven't tightened the nuts too much. You'll need to use a spanner and Allen key to adjust this. Finally, insert the 1/4 10mm bolt through the hole in the bottom. This should stick through the top surface. This may be a tight fit, so use an Allen key if you need to. If you're using a ball head, go ahead and attach this to the 1/4 bolt. Now that the carriage is done, it's time to assemble the frame. Place the V-slot on the inside of each frame piece and roughly align them. Remember that the tripod mount frame support needs to be in the middle. Insert an M5 by 10mm bolt through the outside of the frame support and add an M5 T-nut on the inside, but don't tighten this too far, just enough to stay on. Slide the V-slot over the T-nuts and tighten it down once in position. The T-nuts will automatically rotate to 90 degrees and lock in place. There are 12 nuts and bolts in total, so once finished, give everything a double check to ensure it's secure. Now that the frame is assembled, it's time to finish the slider off. Add the carriage onto the frame from one end. There's only one way it will fit, so if you're having difficulty, rotate it 90 degrees. Slowly slide it back and forth to ensure it's a smooth motion. If it's not, remove it and double check that the frame pieces are securely attached, the V-slot is not damaged or marked, especially the inside edge where the wheels sit, and that the carriage wheels have enough play to spin freely but not enough to wobble. Once the carriage is sliding smoothly, add several rubber bands to each end. This will stop the carriage and your camera falling off, and it will gently slow down the carriage when it reaches the end. If you didn't use rubber bands and instead used a piece of plastic, the carriage would come to an abrupt stop, and this wouldn't look very good in the videos. Now that you have your own slider, Go out there and practice. Many sliders in all price brackets have some degree of wobble, depending on the camera you use. Over time, you'll learn where the sweet spot is and how you can minimise wobble for the smoothest video. Shooting in a higher frame rate for slow motion will also help to smooth out footage. Thanks for watching, and make sure you head on over to MakeUseOf.com where you can read our full tutorial. As always, make sure you like and subscribe for more weekly tech tutorials, news, reviews and giveaways.